Next year, we had 25. Last year, we had 35. This year, we have 70. And we had to turn people away because we just didn't have the space for them. And every year, 10% of the people that we bring to meet with their congressmen don't survive to come back the next year. And there are people that are so sick who are being pushed to their offices on wheelchairs. And so we built our infrastructure in the cloud because we're so distributed. So someone who signs up on our Facebook page, it all feeds into Salesforce, it feeds into Google, we're all connected. So although our database has grown by 7 or 8%, we're only spending twice as much money as we did. We had one person in an office with a laptop and a power outlet. Now we're based in Alexandria, Virginia. We've got 5 on-site employees. 2 or 3 of us are still working full-time in the cloud. And we've managed to use these tools to scale at a very fast rate without necessarily having the resources to do that. And I think I almost lost my mic, too. Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's great. That's a great story about how handy it can be to a smaller organization. So in just a moment, I think we're going to open up the Q&A session to Google Moderator and to all of you in the audience. But I'm going to ask our panelists one more question before we do. And I'd like you, as you come up, to ask a question. I want you to answer one, which is the same one I'm going to ask these guys, which is, what would you like to see Salesforce and Google and Facebook develop next? What would be helpful to your organization to have in the cloud that isn't there now? Can I ask you guys to take a shot at that?
This is not going to work either. That's an interesting question, and I actually was meeting with Galen the other day, and I don't know if this is... I'm just going to scream. We're actually doing a lot with music right now, concert outreach. A lot of bands support our work, and so we go to a lot of events, a lot of concerts, and drive signups. And one of the things that we really need to do is figure out how to get all this information into Coveo or Team Approach in a quick fashion and then get out to them immediately. And one of the things that we're really interested in doing is using Google Spreadsheets because of the ability to share. So if somebody's at an event, you can actually create a sign-up form on top of the spreadsheet, so that it's very easy for someone to come to a laptop and sign up. And and that way the information is put into the system within a day because it's shared with someone in our office and we're able to go out with them. Because right now it takes 4 to 5 weeks, literally from, if you get these mountains of handwritten sign-ups, we have to send them to a data firm and get them in the system. So what I would love to see is right now, obviously a lot of concert venues don't have Wi-Fi. And so the Google Gadgets is a really great first step where you can take the spreadsheets offline, but you can't do any sort of sign-up sheet yet. So I know that's a small thing, but it could go a long way in helping us. Because right now, we're getting 5% response rates on tens of thousands of sign-ups. Because I don't know about you, but if I signed up for something a month ago and then all of a sudden got an email, I'd be like, what is this? But if I got something within a day, especially if a band is talking about it on stage or something like that, I'm much more likely to get involved with the organization. So that's the next thing for me.
Thank you, Tim, and thank you for dealing with our technology testing here. You've been great.
Must be doing something wrong.
Judy?
Am I still on? Okay. I think, for us, our biggest challenge is the fact that our constituency that we're trying to reach is up on these tools. So while we as an organization are leveraging technology, I'm constantly trying to make the technology accessible. Our website is completely driven on WordPress. So we have all of our staffers are blogging, but we're constantly pulling that technology back. More people are signing up to get us through the email, Facebook, the Google FeedBurner integration to get it via email because that's what they're comfortable with. So to have that bridge between the new and the cutting edge, we just started an official Twitter account, and it's very hard to engage. One thing we are doing that I'm going to be in big trouble if I don't mention this is we're having colorectal cancer butt-in a week from today, and we're using mobile technology to do that. There's a mobile commons where if you text BUTTIN or BUTT, button or butt, to a short code 30644, we'll send you, if you do that now, we'll send you a text alert in a week saying, okay, reply with call and be connected to your congressman. So we're constantly looking for those ways to bridge between the cutting edge. I mean, I'm jealous of, if you're talking to 20 and 30-year-olds who are already on Facebook, that's halfway. But we're looking for ways to bring in those people that are more comfortable in old media, who expect to get the direct mail, who expect to get the newsletter. And how do we tell them about Twitter? How do we tell them about what we're doing and connect to our tools without them feeling, I don't want to do that, newfangled.
Well, I don't see how they can resist butt in. I mean, come on.
Well, that's, cover your butt and some of these things. We're not being disrespectful. We know we're dealing with people who are dying, but we're trying to engage people
Sure.
using these novel tools without scaring off that 70-year-old who is not ready for this.
Makes sense. Jake, what do you want to see next from the cloud?
Many things. I think going more in integration with mobile, I think, is kind of across the board would be helpful. Beyond iPhone apps, I mean, one of the things that all three organizations are doing very well is using the iPhone's kind of platform to do some really cool things. But most people, especially people on the ground in wherever they might be, North Dakota, Oklahoma, where we have folks doing stuff. Where, I mean, most people even here, I doubt have, well, maybe here, have smartphones. But so some stuff along those lines. I think some of the stuff that I'd love to see some developer time devoted to, I don't know if it has been or not, but one of my favorite things that came out, this is over a year ago, Suzanne can correct me, but was FaceForce. I don't know what it's called anymore, but I thought that was just the coolest thing, is an integration of your Facebook connections with your Salesforce stuff. So anybody that was both in your contact list on Salesforce is also on your Facebook. They just mission match. So you see pictures, you can see who you're mutual friends with. I think more and more of that would be extremely helpful for everybody. I'd love to see increased integration between Google and Facebook's APIs. I haven't seen a lot of those yet. I know there's reasons, but clearly from our perspective, it would be extremely helpful to have more of that, whether it's having access to putting Google apps and forms and everything in a Facebook application, for instance, as well. That back and forth would be extremely helpful, I think, for organizing and for nonprofits. Push a button there.
I don't know if y'all remember a number of years ago, a few years ago actually, when they had the controversy about George Bush and whether he had something behind his ear during the debates. Well, my CTO over there wishes that I had a little something to put behind my ear right now so that he could tell me what he's been trying to pencil and text me, etc. But the layman's perspective on this would be simple. It would just be, I think the continued development around interoperability, making the tools intuitive for layperson users and for grassroots people across the country, especially those that don't, are having to adjust to this. And then the third would be just website interface and continuing to develop those pieces.
That's great. All right, I think we're ready to take questions from all of you guys. So if you're interested in asking a question, please walk up to a mic now. We're going to start by taking one question from Google Moderator, and then we'll go out to the audience. So, were these questions voted on? Or is this? Yes, okay. So here's the top one. Some of the cloud computing applications require entire organizations to stop using applications they've used for years, like Outlook, to switch to entirely new interfaces and systems. How can you overcome this barrier in a large organization? Anybody want to take that?
Well, speaking on behalf of a large organization, that's actually a really good question. And I'm not actually sure, because actually I was thinking about this the other day, because I would love for us, and we have a staff of about 200, 250 around the world, just from the Awesome America part of Oxfam, would love to use these tools for all of for email. And I'm not really sure. I mean, I think, again, it's sort of a long-tail conversation. That's not something that's going to be answered overnight, and it's going to take many, many, meetings and many memos. And I know a lot of us think that's exactly what we need is another meeting. But the power of these tools is so great. I think it's worth doing. Maybe I'll let you know in a year or two how my conversations go. But
Anybody want to add to that?
I would just, I do think you have to have, a process and be realistic about that process and a timeline for that transition, and also